we have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
Make sure to listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Good enough for us down here in the bayou. Go Tigers and the Armchair Quarterbacks.
It's morning.
Yes, and what a lovely morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We've talked the whole night through.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Don't you love it when people in school are like, I'm a bad test taker? You mean you're stupid. Oh, you struggle with that part where we find out what you know? Oh. No, I can totally relate. See, because I'm a brilliant painter, minus my god-awful brush strokes.
Armchair.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks, CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good morning, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. We have a full slate of college basketball today as March Madness rolls on in conference tournament play. The ACC tournament continues at noon Eastern as NC State takes on Syracuse. At 2:30, Miami plays Clemson, and Louisville takes the court at 6:30, followed by the North Carolina Tar Heels at 9. All the games are on the ACC network. The SEC tournament gets underway 7 o'clock tonight on the SEC network. It's Texas A&M versus Vanderbilt. The Big East tournament gets going on FS1, 3 o'clock Eastern. Marquette versus Georgetown, followed by Butler and Xavier at 6 Eastern, and DePaul versus Providence at 9. The Big 12 tournament starts on ESPN at 6:30 Eastern. Kansas State versus TCU, and number 25, Oklahoma versus Iowa State. On the Big 10 network, you got the Big 10 Conference tipping off. Minnesota versus Northwestern, 6:30 Eastern. Nebraska and Penn State follow at 9. The Pac-12 tournament begins today on the Pac-12 network, and at 10 o'clock Eastern, Middle Tennessee State tries to begin a Cinderella story taking on North Texas. That game's on ESPN+. The NFL franchise tag deadline was yesterday, and the LA Chargers decided not to franchise Hunter Henry, while Allen Robinson of the Chicago Bears
Going home. Okay, stand right here. Okay.
slate of college basketball today as March Madness rolls on in conference tournament play. The ACC tournament continues at noon Eastern as NC State takes on Syracuse. At 2:30, Miami plays Clemson, and Louisville takes the court at 6:30, followed by the North Carolina Tar Heels at 9. All the games are on the ACC network. The SEC tournament gets underway 7 o'clock tonight on the SEC network. It's Texas A&M versus Vanderbilt. The Big East tournament gets going on FS1, 3 o'clock Eastern. Marquette versus Georgetown, followed by Butler and Xavier at 6 Eastern, and DePaul versus Providence at 9. The Big 12 tournament starts on ESPN at 6:30 Eastern. Kansas State versus TCU, and number 25, Oklahoma versus Iowa State. On the Big 10 network, you got the Big 10 Conference tipping off. Minnesota versus Northwestern, 6:30 Eastern. Nebraska and Penn State follow at 9. The Pac-12 tournament begins today on the Pac-12 network, and at 10 o'clock Eastern, Middle Tennessee State tries to begin a Cinderella story taking on North Texas. That game's on ESPN+. The NFL franchise tag deadline was yesterday, and the LA Chargers decided not to franchise Hunter Henry, while Allen Robinson of the Chicago Bears is staying put as he gets the tag put on him. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers put the franchise tag on Chris Godwin, and Kenny Golladay of the Detroit Lions was also left untagged to become a free agent. In a bit of a surprising move, the Jacksonville Jaguars franchise tagged left tackle Cam Robinson. That move is looked upon as somewhat controversial, paying a premium price for a tackle that is looked upon as middle of the pack. And in a study released yesterday, it looks like only 2 teams in Major League Baseball are likely to not have fans come opening day. That's the state of Washington's Seattle Mariners and Washington, D.C.'s Washington Nationals. All other teams have either announced that they will or most likely will have fans on opening day. Opening day in Major League Baseball is Thursday, April 1st. And a University of Texas committee formed in November to investigate the history of the Eyes of Texas song released a 58-page report Tuesday that says the school song was not written with racist intent, but acknowledges that its first public performance was likely performed in blackface during a minstrel show. From the report, quote, "These historical facts add complexity and richness to the story of a song that debuted in a racist setting, exceedingly common for the time, but as the research showed, had no racist intent. The Eyes of Texas should not only unite us, but hold us accountable to our institution's core values." The report recommended the students not be required to sing the song. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for more of the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show and YouTube Live. Please like, subscribe, and share our show today. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast. Good morning. It's time to wake up, y'all. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We're here weekdays on CBS Radio, YouTube Live, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. The Armchair Quarterback Show, your first choice for Southern sports talk. Good morning, Mr. Justin Waller.
Good morning. I don't know much, but I know one thing. If there's any validity to the story, Rush Probst is about to be the most famous man in 90% of the SEC.
Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and I don't know much, but I know one thing. Sorry for fat fingering the intro this morning. I have 2 keyboards in front of me, but I must have been partying with Johnny Damon last night. I want to party with Johnny Damon, man. Johnny Damon likes to party. That's all I know. Justin, can we get a weekend booked at Johnny Damon's Windermere Mansion?
Bud offered me some Pistons tickets, so I bought them.
How much were they?
$50 a piece.
Well, that's not so bad.
No, it's not. Here we go.
How many games?
All of them.
What? How many games is that?
Well, more than none and less than 41.
40 games at $50 a piece? That's like $2,000.
Per seat.
Per seat? How many seats did you buy?
One. And the one next door.
That's $4,000.
Unless they get in the playoffs, because for some reason playoff tickets are more money than regular seats. They'll never make. What am I talking about? They're a lousy team this year.
You spent $4,000 on a lousy team?
Let me explain something to you about basketball. You cannot get season tickets like this with a good team. You got to ride out the bad years, hoping for a good one.
That's what you said 17 years ago when I married you, and I'm still waiting for a good one.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man with a cool one in his head.
Hey, howdy, hi, top of the morning to you. Welcome to the Armchair Quarterback Radio Show. I'm Mac McGee sitting alongside Justin Waller. Justin, how the hell are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Mac. We're getting into the meat of some of these tournaments. SEC starts up today, and man, just hope for more excitement out of the ACC tournament. Did you catch that Notre Dame ending last night?
I watched the Notre Dame Wake Forest game. I watched, I fell asleep, and I'm so pissed at myself. I fell asleep at the very tail end of the Gonzaga BYU game, but it looks like Gonzaga came back and won. At the time, BYU was hanging in there. And I watched, there was one other game. It was, I don't know the conference, but I watched, let me see what conference that was that I actually watched. I watched Drexel beat Elon, and there was another one. I forget what the other one was. Anyways, that's pretty much all I watched last night was college basketball. I guess I was watching the Hercules Tire Southland tournament. I thought it was a final, and then I got immersed into it on like the plus, and it ended up being just like the first round. But McNeese versus Southeast Louisiana was a pretty darn good game. But yeah, Notre Dame coming back, man. What a comeback.
Yeah, to tie ball game, get the steal, and drain a three to win it, or go ahead and take the lead. It didn't have to be a three. That's just what the clock dictated was shot. It was a great game. I hope to see at least another one of those today. And yeah, that BYU game was pretty good. I hated to see that they lost it. They were up 12 at the half, and then, man, Gonzaga got hot and just started draining threes left and right, and it was over before they know it.
That opens up that question that everybody has this year, which is, are they as good as their record? They almost fell last night to BYU, and BYU is a good team. Don't get me wrong, but I've got my doubts on whether or not that they're going to make the Final Four, but I've been wrong about a lot of things before, so we'll see what happens there. We got a full slate of games that we'll get into here in a little bit, but before we dive into the games on hand today, the franchise tag deadline was yesterday. Want to get your quick thoughts on, who was kept and who was not kept. Did the Titans surprise you at all?
By not signing Jonnu Smith, I thought that they would end up franchise tagging him, but that one was a little curious. But with their stable of tight ends that they have on the roster, I guess they wanted to free up space to go elsewhere all in on edge rusher, which to my surprise was the big surprise of yesterday that Leonard Williams was the only defensive lineman to get a franchise tag. So that leaves a lot of edge rushers out there in Dupree and Docu, Carl Lawson, Judon, and Hendrickson. So you've got some options out there for teams looking for edge rush, which is obviously one of the biggest things that the Titans are going to be going after, it and secondary help.
The other thing that jumped out at me was Tennessee released Malcolm Butler, which freed up $10 million on the cap. Yeah. And so that gives them some flexibility. That one did not shock me. The one about Jonnu Smith, it's a little surprising, but I don't have the number in front of me what they would have had to have paid him on a franchise tag. So that might have had something to do with it, because the tight end tag must be fairly high, because the Chargers released Hunter Henry as well. They're not going to franchise tag him. Some of the teams some of the guys that did get hit with the tag, Chris Godwin of the Bucks. I expected that, and I think that's a good play. Sign him for one more year and see what he's got left, and maybe you can work a long-term deal out if you feel like you need him. Kenny Golladay is now going to be out on the market. We'll talk to Sean about that here in a minute when he joins us. Allen Robinson got tagged, and so that's a big deal, because now he's not out on the market, and he would have been the number one wide receiver in the market. And then the one that's getting a little controversy up here in the First Coast, Justin, is Cam Robinson getting tagged. And the local radio here in Jacksonville, they're always like the most vanilla, laid back. Oh, shucks, I can see why they did, but I think it was a terrible tag. They're going to pay this man $15 million for a left tackle who is subpar at best. At best, he's
he graded out after the 2020 season as one of the worst pass protectors in the league.
Terrible. And you're going to draft
Trevor. Yeah, to my point, you're going to bring in Trevor Lawrence, and then you just tagged a guy that's not a great pass rusher.
I wouldn't have tagged him.
Pass blocker.
I would not have tagged him. I would have gone all in on a free agent, get the best one that I could get, and go from there. Cam Robinson, look, I've met the guy. He's a very nice kid, but I just don't know if he's got it, man. And I think one of his biggest issues is, or what's been talked about is that he's not the biggest worker in the weight room. So if the drive isn't there in the off season, it doesn't matter how hard you want to play in September. If you're not in shape, then you're not in shape. And so I don't know if Urban Meyer thinks that he can, right the ship, if he just has a connection with the kid and really likes him. But I found that one very, very strange for going forward. I thought the Bears tagging Allen Robinson was absolutely the right move, because you're not going to get him to sign a long-term deal, and you can tag him 2 more seasons. And at that point, he's going to be long in the tooth for a wide receiver at that point. So, why not go that route? Aaron Jones not getting tagged. That surprised me. What say you?
I was surprised that they let him walk. Kind of, sort of. I mean, still Matt LaFleur and his running back still makes me scratch my heads every single time. But that one's interesting, because I thought he was a very productive piece in that offense, and I just don't know that you can draft or sign through free agency a replacement for Jones. That one's an interesting one.
Yeah, they said that they're going to try to work out a deal by the time free agency hits, which is technically Wednesday, but Monday is that pre-signing thing. So it's, for all intents and purposes, they have until the end of the weekend, and they might get a deal done. But man, I would have liked to have had some leverage, so to speak, right? And I'm a little surprised that they didn't tag him, because they've got other running backs like, AJ Dillon did do well. Jamal Williams, we all know what he can do. But when push comes to shove, I want Aaron Jones out there getting the bulk of the carries, because he's got that extra gear. He is an explosive running back. He's also a guy that's fairly durable. He's had his injury problems from time to time, but he's fairly durable as far as NFL running backs go. So I was very surprised by that. Were there any other moves that surprised you?
No, that was were the main ones. The Jonnu was the biggest one. Allen Robinson, I thought worked out, like you mentioned, great for the Bears, bad for him. Kenny Golladay surprised me. You bring in Jared Goff and you let Golladay walk out. I know you're going to get into Sean with that, but I mean, who's left on that roster?
I think they're just doing a full-blown rebuild, but I guess we'll get his opinion here in a minute. By the way, did you see the Johnny Damon video?
No.
All right. Well, we've got that on the way. That's coming up at the bottom of the hour, and you're not going to want to miss this.
Awesome.
Johnny Damon likes to party, Justin. Let me tell you. That dude was lit up like a Christmas tree. It's an incident that happened in February, but the body cam just leaked. And man, been there, done that, sir. Bought that t-shirt. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little baseball as we head to the bottom of the hour, where we will be getting into the Johnny Damon video. You don't want to miss that. And also, we're going to be talking March Madness, and we're going to do predictions on the American League West today. All that ahead and more here on Armchair Quarterbacks.
CBS Sports Radio.
Take the scenic route in the new Hyundai Santa Fe, the family SUV with available H-Track all-wheel drive to help you travel way off the beaten path. Find new adventures together in Hyundai Santa Fe.
CBS Sports Radio.
Hey, it's your home, and I need to ask you a few favors. In the kitchen, there's a spider stuck between the window and the screen, and I know it's dead, and technically it's outside, but it's still freaking me out. Can you flick it out or something? Also, just to save some money, and it's super easy, could you bundle your home and car insurance with Geico? Last thing, could you take the holiday decorations down? Yeah, I'm one of those.
Geico. For bundling made easy, go to geico.com today.
If we actually enjoyed our New Year's resolutions, we'd all have six packs, money in our saving accounts, and we'd know how to play the piano. I have to tell you about the one resolution I actually enjoy. It's Built Bar. It's delicious. Oh, yeah, it's healthy too. Built Bar is healthier than your favorite protein bar. They're low cal, low sugar, high protein, high fiber, great for the keto diet. Lose or maintain weight while indulging. And with only 4 net carbs and 150 calories, there's no guilt. Visit BuiltBar.com.
Somebody stole a beer truck. Don't matter who it was. Grab a can and drink it up. Let's keep your mouth shut. Man, we're good to go. Yeah, we hit.
Good morning. We're here with the Armchair Quarterbacks riding shotgun with you. Duke blew out Boston College, by the way. We forgot to mention that. They will be playing. See, looking at the, we'll get more into this in a second, but looking at the games today of interest. By the way, there's only one top 25 team in action today, Oklahoma. Justin, they're going to play Iowa State. Without looking at it, guess how many wins Iowa State has this year in basketball?
Just 4.
They played 23. They had 2.
Oh, well.
Something tells me Oklahoma's going to take them to the wood. What's that?
I said, I guess my pick of 4 was a little ambitious there.
Something tells me Oklahoma's going to take them to the woodshed. 2 W's. I wonder if either one of them were even in the Big 12. But to pull up there, see, they beat something called UAPB in Jacksonville State. So yeah, they were over in the Big 12 conference. But games that will go on today, you got the SEC tournament starting. I don't know why, but I thought there would be more games in the SEC tournament. There's just the one, it looks like, Texas A&M versus Vanderbilt. That's 7:00 Eastern in Nashville. Duke and Louisville, that should be a good one. 6:30 Eastern on the ACC network. You got the Big Ten tournament starting. You've got the Big East tournament starting. The ACC's in its second round, so you got some pretty decent. Miami versus Clemson, that's the 2:30 game. That could be a fun game to watch. And so there you go. There's 4 ACC games, but we'll get all into that in a minute. I want to dive into some Major League Baseball as we got some games today. And I thought I had it in front of me, and I guess I do not. I'd made a list. I think I know where it is, but I made a list of games televised for every day this month. 1 game a day that you'd want to catch. Today's the 10th. So we've got on MLB.TV, Braves once again are not broadcast. The one time the Red Sox don't broadcast the game. I think the game that I had circled today was Twins Rays. If that doesn't really get you inspired, another decent one I think would be Reds Royals, which is 3:05 Eastern. I'll probably be more locked into the college basketball, but I do want to keep an eye on what's going on in the world of baseball. I just wish Atlanta was playing more games. I think they only have 6 more games televised this spring. And it is surprising that it seems like Boston is always on TV. So, of course, when they play Atlanta, they don't put the damn thing on. But anyways, Bryce Wilson, I think he's making a very solid case for making that final rotation spot. What say you?
Well, I mean, it doesn't take much. I mean, Kyle Wright isn't putting up much of a fight, so he only needs very minimal success until Soroka returns. But yeah, I mean, I right now, if I'm nodding my 5th guy and I don't have Soroka in, I'm going Wilson.
Smiley, I think the game wasn't televised, but Smiley got lit up evidently. 2 innings, 5 earned runs. Yeesh. 8 hits allowed.
It's only got 11.25 ERA. It can't go anywhere but up, right? I mean, well, down, you hope.
And, the good news on that, he was playing against the powerful Pittsburgh Pirate lineup. So that's a little bit of a cause for concern. Today, I believe, yes, Max Fried will take the mound today for the Atlanta Braves. So, wouldn't want to televise that, MLB. Wouldn't want to put a camera out there. Wouldn't want to put a shaky iPhone feed out there on that, would we? But anyways, Barrios takes the mound today as well for the Twins versus Rays. So that game is on MLB.TV. So that might be fun to watch. See if there's any other big name pitchers that are going to be taking the mound today. Keller of Kansas City, that intrigues me from a fantasy standpoint to see where he's at this year. And then you've got not a whole lot else jumping off. Oh, Kershaw pitches today. Did we lose you?
Just temporarily.
Okay. So all in all, spring training so far, is there anything that's really jumped out at you as far as the Braves go? Are there guys that you're concerned about, guys, that you're excited for what they're doing?
It was good to see Charlie Morton. He was high, upper 90s. I think he had 3 strikeouts. I was positive on Smiley's first outing with his 3 strikeouts, and he looked like he had good movement on his curveball off of his fastball. So he had some folks guessing, but then yesterday kind of threw that out the window. I mean, keep in mind it's spring training, and they're trying things and altering up. So hopefully the first outing's more of the regular season than the second for Smiley. But Braves wise, those were the 2 biggest takeaways. One, does Charlie Morton look like full-blown ace? I'd say he looks like he's ready to come out of the gate that way. Anderson's looking good. So you're starting to put the arms together. My biggest concern for Atlanta is that bullpen, and I hate that we don't get to see a lot of the games because it's really hard to determine who's getting hot, who's looking good, the control. Yeah, that's what big question marks. So just the anticipation and not knowing there from that standpoint, just because we don't have high visibility on them right now.
Some news that came out of Yankees camp, Zach Britton, one of their stalwarts in their bullpen, is set to undergo surgery on his left elbow. They expect him to miss at least a month. And considering this is happening in the middle of spring training, I would tend to think you're not going to see this guy back till close to June, because he's going to take a month off for the surgery, and then it's going to take him a while to get ramped back up. So that's a big blow to the Yankees bullpen, obviously early in the season, but you don't like to see that if you're a Yankees fan. There is a teen phenom, number 1 prospect for the Yankees that is supposedly debuting this week. And what is his? I don't have his name in front of me. All I see is the here we go. Jason Dominguez, outfielder. He's supposed to make his debut, and then they've got a pitcher, Clark Schmidt, that's supposed to pitch sometime in the next week or so. So you keep an eye on that for Yankees land. Not a whole lot of movement. There's still some guys out there, free agents. Are you not surprised that some of these guys have not been scooped up yet? What are we, March 10th at this point?
I think a lot of them is just waiting to see injuries in spring training, especially for the arms.
I mean, I'm looking at not the smaller names. I mean, there's bench guys like your Matt Adams that are out there, but we don't even know if they'll get signed. But look, Yenis Cespedes has not been signed. Okay. See, Edwin Encarnacion has not been signed. Tyler Flowers has not been signed. There is interest with Maikel Franco of the New York Mets. Not that he's a great player, and his defensive metrics have not panned out well, but he has not been signed. He's more known as a thumper. Shane Green, the reliever for the Braves last couple of seasons, and of course before that he was a Tiger. he has not been signed. Your boy Cole Hamels has not been signed.
Shocker.
Nick Markakis has not been signed.
Well, that one is interesting.
I think someone will sign him for the bench. Let's go ahead and take that quick break, because Sean should be showing up here any second. And when we come out of the break, I'm going to play that video for you on Johnny Damon getting. Whew, he just drank off one too many, and the Windermere Police Department in Central Florida got a hold of him. We'll be back in a flash here on the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Your life is so dumb.
6th round. TJ Hoshimazode. Yes. Lock it up.
Who?
What? TJ, how's the vanilla? All right. TJ, who's your mama?
You mean TJ Hushmanzada from the Bengals?
Put him on the board. Hoshimazole. Got it. Championship.
Make sure to join the Armchair Quarterbacks right here. We'll answer all your questions, pickups, trades, you name it. You want to win your league? Then listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Fantasy football time.
This is Jim Rome. Join me in the jungle for your phone calls and the biggest names in sports. Stop by weekdays, noon until 3 Eastern, 9 to noon Pacific.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge, so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in socially distanced dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
Hi, this is Britney Spears.
What up, this Jay-Z.
This is Jennifer Lopez. Armchair.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by our mystery sponsor, a product that is so good that they're paying us to keep anyone from associating it with this program.
Hey there, pal. First draft?
How can you tell?
Look, there's a few things you're going to want to know. Kickers go fast. You're going to take one early. And don't worry about running backs. You can always trade for one later.
Cool, thanks.
And one more thing. It's good to have you here. You're my friend.
Armchair.
The Armchair Quarterbacks are covering America's pastime from spring training all the way to the Fall Classic.
5-2 Dodgers in the ninth. Got him. They've done it. Like the 1969 Mets, it's the impossible dream revisited.
And Myers bringing it. And the pitch is hit in the air. Foul off first. Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it. It's a base hit. It's a 1-0 10-inning victory.
Bell, left field, way back. Blue Jays win it. The Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run in the 9th inning, and the Blue Jays have repeated as World Series champions. Touch them all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
Armchair.
We were on a break!
And for the record, it took 2 people to break up this relationship.
Yeah, you and that girl from the copy place, which yesterday you took full responsibility for.
I didn't know what I was taking responsibility for, okay? I didn't finish the whole letter.
What?
I fell asleep.
You fell asleep?
Good morning, CBS Radio, YouTube Live. You're listening, watching to the Armchair Quarterbacks, and joining us this morning is Mr. Sean O'Toole. Sean, how the hell are you, sir?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for asking. The unintentional matching decor between us is interesting.
Well, I thought maybe you'd be wearing your, you said you had a Angels throwback hat coming. So I thought
it hasn't come yet.
That. So I thought you would have it. So that's why I'm rocking this. Plus we're doing the AL West today. So mine is literally a throwback hat, because when I bought this thing off of eBay, the guy had it was preserved or something that he had found in his basement. And when I bought it 3 or 4 years back, it came in its original packaging. I think he just went on a spending spree and just never opened one up or whatever. But here we go. Here is a part of the actual full-length video is about 10 to 15 minutes long. But this is a part that I was able to clip together this morning of Johnny Damon drunk about it in doing his version of Florida Man. So here's Johnny Damon getting out of the car.
Going home.
Okay, stand right here.
Okay.
Any weapons in the car?
No.
Okay. Keep your hand out of your pocket.
Okay.
Lean against your car.
Okay.
Okay. What's going on here? Why is she getting out?
Because we saw you following us. And
Yeah.
we're like, okay.
It's a traffic stop. You don't get out of the car in a traffic stop.
What traffic stop?
Do you see the police lights?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just happened right
Yeah.
there.
It's called a traffic stop.
Okay. It just happened right there.
The passenger jumped out on me. She's back in the car now. 10-12 white male out of the vehicle. So, I'll explain why I'm stopping in a sec, but first I'm going to have a backup officer come. So.
Okay.
I'm going to talk
Get
to
back in the car.
All right, don't touch me.
Yeah.
Don't touch me.
Let
don't
go. Let
fucking
go.
touch me. Don't touch me.
Let go.
Okay.
Don't touch me.
No. Hey, stop. Stop.
Fighting 1, 2, actually.
Hey, we are at
Stop.
home
Turn
right
around.
now.
Turn around. Turn around. Turn around.
We are.
Turn around.
Okay, we are at home right now. I don't know what you are doing.
Face the car.
Okay.
Get down on the ground right now.
Hey, babe, walk home.
Hey, secure her right now. So
She's crazy.
Either way,
My wife is crazy.
I don't. Okay, I want to get you guys. I want to get you home.
Yeah,
Okay, but
we have
just listen to
200
me.
yards to
Absolutely. I understand. So I instigate a couple drinks. It's completely okay if you have some drinks and then drive, but it's okay. My concern is you might be too impaired to drive.
Oh.
So
I'm 200 yards away from my house.
Would you be willing to do?
I understand.
Okay, would you be willing to do some field sobriety exercises to make sure?
I would be because I'm a big boy.
All right.
And
I'll
Okay, first of all, I didn't even catch that very last part until just now.
Because I'm a big boy?
Because I'm a big boy. Second of all, Johnny Damon, never take the field sobriety test, my brother. Never take it. You got the money, you've got the means to get yourself out of that mess. But his wife was I wish I could have gotten more of that, but I was trying to skip around. I was doing it in haste. Friend of the show, Michael, sent us the video, and I was trying to put it together really fast, and it's hard to explain, but it takes a hot minute to put those videos together, and I only had so much time in the morning. But his wife is a hot mess because when she first jumped out, man, she looked like that she could be dangerous, and then she's like, "Don't touch me! Don't put your fingers on me! Don't touch me!" And it's just, I mean, it's bad. Oh my god! I do know I want to party with Johnny Damon. I mean, I do know.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, the sad thing is that probably wasn't even party. That was just like dinner, and like way too many cocktails at like Olive Garden or something.
He was at something. So he mentions it in the video at one point. He was at something that he wasn't sure what he was at. He was at some kind of a house. What I think he called it Legend House or London House or something like that. And I think it was someone's last name, but the way he was saying it, you made it sound like he was at an event. And the police officer asked him what that was. He goes, "Hey, he's this guy that sells like stuff like, you know, insurance and stuff." And and he's coaxing his wife to make it go for it 200 yards from the house. Like they're not going to find her. Right. And
just walk home.
I meant to put it in, but I just couldn't find it fast enough. There's a part towards the end of the video where he mentions that he's Johnny Damon.
Oh, I was just about to give him an attaboy for not doing the "you know who I am."
Well, no, he was trying to claim that people give him mess with them all the time because of who he is. He said that's not what's going on here right now. What a disaster! Oh my God, I don't think he works for any kind of, I don't think
he doesn't. No, he's just sitting at home. He doesn't work for anybody.
Yeah, so he's not really in. I mean, hell, this might put him back on the map. Down the road, you might see him on Fox Sports. But anyways, if I'm his lawyer, I'm like, dude, when we go to court, you have to talk exactly like that when you show up, so that no one thinks you're like, what's up, man? He was like dazed and confused over there. It's like evidently running over freaking. They pulled him over because he was swerving and then ran over a curb. I'm like, yeah, man. Johnny.
Yeah, it happened right over there, Mac. Right over there.
Why are you getting in the car? Because y'all were following us. By the cops. We all didn't follow us, man. I'm Johnny Day. You can't be following me. Oh my God, what a dumpster fire. Okay. So we'll try to put that aside. March Madness, SEC doesn't really get into full action until tomorrow, but the Big Ten gets rolling today. Sean, you've got let's see who we got in the Big Ten today.
Minnesota Northwestern at 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern, and then Nebraska and Penn State 25 minutes after that game ends.
Okay, so they only have 2 games. I thought they had a third one. So all in all, you got Minnesota Northwestern, you got Penn State, Nebraska, and the big boys get going, so to speak, tomorrow because Ohio State will play, Wisconsin will play, and in the SEC we have all we have right now is just the game between Vanderbilt and Texas A&M, but then tomorrow, Justin, Florida is set to play and Missouri is set to play. I think those are the only 2 teams that would be on the proverbial bubble. The rest, Kentucky's going to play in what was essentially day 1 because only 2 teams are playing in the actual day 1. They're 9-15. Kentucky's going to have to win the tournament to get in. I think Florida is in, but they would like to get a W just to solidify that tomorrow. Justin, Tennessee is set to play Friday, and that game is at 2 p.m. Eastern. Of course, we don't know who they're playing yet, but Tennessee will play. Alabama will get going. Arkansas. Those are the 3 teams I think had the best chance. I really don't think LSU can win.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I don't think LSU has the ability to win 3 consecutive games. The team that I like to win it, I'm going to go ahead and call my shot now. I'm picking Arkansas to win the SEC tournament. What say you, Justin?
I'd like to see that. I think Alabama will find a way to win it. I mean, they found a way all season long to pull it off, and I just don't believe anybody's going to go on a run and shut it down. But in tonight's lackluster game of A&M and Vanderbilt, there is a rooting interest because the winner takes on Florida. The winner of that game will Florida tomorrow, and then Tennessee on Friday plays the winner of that Florida and this play-in game tomorrow. So they're all tied together in their bracket.
A&M and Vanderbilt, either one of those teams have a shot in hell beating Florida because I don't think they do.
I mean, I would say that A&M possibly could, kind of like the any given Sunday theory going on. Vanderbilt, probably not. Not unless there's some eligibility left for Stackhouse because they're going to need him.
Sean, in the Big Ten tournament, it really gets going tomorrow where you're going to have 4 games. Michigan State will play, Ohio State will play, Wisconsin will play. Who are you favoring to win the Big Ten tournament? Is it Michigan? Is it Illinois? Could Ohio State make a run? Iowa's been playing really well. Who do you like to win the Big Ten tournament?
Yeah, I'll repeat the statement from last week that I kind of alluded to about Iowa, which is that they're just bombing threes. And if you try to overplay the 3, and kind of jump under screens to set up shooters. They've always got, 55 in the middle, Luka Garza to drop it into. I think it's Illinois' tournament to lose. Michigan is actually coming into the tournament scuffling and has a couple of very important injuries in the starting lineup that Jawan hasn't said whether Eli Brooks and Isaiah Livers are even going to play in the first game on Friday. Those are two very, very important players to what Michigan likes to do and the way they run their half court game. So if they don't have them, I mean, they might, get out early, maybe even against Purdue or Ohio State in that second matchup. I don't think Maryland or Michigan State can beat Michigan, even with us down a couple guys. But I think it's Illinois' tournament to lose. The one thing I would take a look at is if Illinois and Iowa meet in that Saturday game, which would be somewhere around 3:00, that could nominally be the Big Ten championship game, especially if Michigan is compromised or if Ohio State or Purdue upsets Michigan, or if Michigan gets upset earlier than that. I would put my money on Illinois because they're playing really, really well right now.
Yeah, that's the team I like is Illinois. Justin, do you see it differently?
I'm pulling for Michigan State.
Thanks, Justin.
I mean, didn't they just beat you guys? So I think they could. That was just for that Alabama reference last week, or you rubbed that in. So
I don't have a problem.
Fair enough. I'm pulling for the Spartans, baby. I figure as a Michigan guy, you probably disliked them.
No, it's like a Tennessee fan with Vanderbilt. They don't beat us enough in anything to really matter. And you would had to have picked the Scarlet and Gray school, whose name I have a tough time saying, if you really wanted to get me back for last week. So I'll lay that one up for you. You can volley that one in my face next week.
Anytime soon. So, I mean, I ain't got to worry about that one.
In football, you're correct.
Yeah.
I feel like Ohio State's a bit of a paper tiger. I think that they finally got in the meat of their schedule and they started really getting hammered by the better teams. I do think they're a team that could possibly make the Sweet 16, but no longer do I feel like that they are elite. So the ACC tournament's interesting because in the grand scheme of things, you would think Florida State versus Virginia could be the the final, and we'll get more into that in the next hour. But to be honest with you, the ACC always has one dark horse that makes a run, and Georgia Tech is the team that I'm looking at right now. But we'll probably get more into that in the next hour. The Big East tournament, by the way, it starts today too as well. And they've got, what do they have? 3 games today. Marquette, Georgetown, Butler, Xavier, DePaul, Providence. Man, the Big East, how the mighty have fallen. Because remember, it's been 5 years ago that when the Big East tournament was being played, man, that was something special. And now it seems like it's an afterthought. It's on FS1 for crying out loud. I'm curious when it comes to the Big East, when you get past Villanova and probably Creighton, how much substance they have and how many teams they'll actually get into the tournament. St. John's, if they make a run, could get into the tournament, but a team like UConn, 14-6, and they're not being talked about that much.
Nope.
Is this a conference that's dead, or are they just not getting the publicity that they once got because some of their bigger names in the bigger markets are now in other words, like Louisville used to be in the Big East, Syracuse. And so does that have something to do with it, or do you think that the talent's really fallen off?
I just think it's a matter of them being an upper mid-major at this point. And I'll defer to Justin, but I mean, it's just losing the firepower of a Louisville and a Syracuse. And those aren't the only schools that they lost. We're missing one or two, but they
lost Miami, which basketball wise isn't really that big a deal, but they lost Boston
Maryland
College.
in when they won, or had they already changed?
No, Maryland used to be ACC and then they went to the Big Ten, which is still weird to me.
Super weird.
It doesn't even fit. I mean, Maryland and the New Jersey Rutgers. What the hell?
Ain't no different than West Virginia in the Big 12.
Well, that's what I'm saying. All three of them just ought to get into one conference and quit being weird.
Nebraska in the Big Ten is still on the Mount Rushmore of that for me. Every time I see it, I'm just tripped out by it. But yeah, I think it's just erosion of talent. I don't think any of these schools are particularly quote unquote bad, but you look at someone like a Seton Hall who's trying to recapture the magic. Seton Hall's had some nice moments, notably when PJ Carlesimo was there in the late 80s, early 90s, played a national title, had some guys go to the NBA. But I mean, I'd struggle to tell you the last good player that came out of that school in the last 15 years. So it's been pretty much Villanova, Creighton, UConn for the last, 5 to 10 years.
And I am curious to see what Villanova does in the tournament, because it wasn't that long ago that Villanova was an absolute powerhouse and playing in the national title game. I mean, what was that, 2016, I think? Somewhere in that they went to back-to-back Final Fours, I believe. And so Villanova is a team that interests me going into the tournament. Because realistically, they're the only ones carrying that crown for the Big East, because Creighton is never going to build anything long term, right? But Villanova has that kind of power, because with them being in a big city and having the television market that they have, Villanova can build something long lasting. I don't know if Creighton is long lasting, especially if their head coach keeps saying the really stupid things.
They've got a dynamite, and again, recruiting class. We talk about this in every sport, but they got a dynamite recruiting class coming in next year. I wonder if he's trying to build something. Now, he might not be long for that school. He might use it. If he doesn't shut his mouth, he's going to go somewhere else. But, he might use it to parlay. I mean, we see this all the time at smaller schools just here in Tennessee. I mean, MTSU, Kermit Davis was there forever, had a lot of success, won an NCAA tournament game in a big upset, parlayed that into a better job, and went to an SEC school. I just wonder if that's Greg McDermott's, vision, long-term vision for the university. But he's got a stud recruiting class coming in next year. So I'm curious to watch them, maybe even more than Villanova. So I'll have them on today or throughout this weekend, just kind of getting a good look at them.
We got the brackets will be out on a Monday, so we'll do our annual bracket challenge with the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll have that information shared up onto the page on Monday morning on how to sign up and all that kind of stuff. Look forward to that. Let's go ahead and switch gears over to Major League Baseball, doing the AL West today, excuse me. And we've got, I mean, for all intents and purposes, this is about a 3-team race, if that. You got Houston, who is the proverbial favorite, and then the Angels and the A's, depending on who you talk to, on who everybody likes. So let's start off just going, see how much time we got left. Okay. We might have enough time to do this. Sean, who is your number 5 team in the AL?
Unfortunately, that's the Texas Rangers, who are going to be the cellar dwellers of baseball for, I think, a few years, picking up the mantle the Tigers have left behind.
I agree with that. I don't think they have anything worth even talking about this year. They don't even have some of their stalwarts. I mean, not only are they young and rebuilding, remember, in one season, they're losing Mike Minor, Lance Lynn, and Corey Kluber. That might have an effect on your total wins. Justin, do you see it any different?
Not at all.
Okay, so your number 4 team, Sean, who is it?
The Seattle Mariners is my number 4 team. I think they're going to be better. I like some of their young players, Justice Sheffield, Kyle Lewis, we talked about a lot last week. We'll see if they let Jared Kelenic play. He's injured, so I don't think they've gotten enough of a look at him in spring training to put him in the everyday lineup. But Jared Kelenic's the player they got from the Mets in the Edwin Diaz trade. By all reports, he's, Mike Trout-ish-esque, 5 tools, really good. That's the name that people use when they talk about him, including Keith Law. Keith Law has said he's Mike Trout-esque, so we'll see. But he's been injured most of this spring, so I think he'll start the year in their AAA affiliate, which I think they're maybe Vegas or Portland, Maine. I can't remember, Portland, Oregon now. I can't remember where they are, but
I don't know.
They're my number.
I haven't gotten my Seattle Mariners newsletter in a while, so
they're my number 4 team. I think they'll be better and a little bit more fun to watch, but not quite in the threshold of the top 3.
I'm going to go ahead and go with the Seattle Mariners. I do think they're a team that could surprise because they're a young team. They're an exciting team, but you just too many question marks for me to put them any higher than just above the Rangers. Justin, what say you?
Yeah, I agree with both of y'all. I mean, I think Gonzalez, Kikuchi, and Paxton, 3-man rotation could surprise a little bit, but I don't see it being anything of the top 3 of this division.
Okay, so now this is where it gets interesting. Sean, who is your number 3 team in the division?
My number 3 is the Oakland A's, which kind of gives away my top 2, obviously. But if there's any team that we should be giving the benefit of the doubt to about losing players and still continuing to win, it should be the original Moneyball franchise. But it's just a lot of meat from the lineup that's gone from last year, and I'm just going to need to see it to believe it. How they're going to score runs outside of Olsen, and I'm blanking on the other guy that hits most of their stuff. Chapman. There you go. How they're going to score runs outside of those 2 guys, I just don't know. With Simeon not there to set the table, and Chris Davis, even though he's a flawed player, did drive in a lot of runs when people were on base and hit a lot of home runs. And I just don't know how they replace that production. So
they do get Elvis Andrus to trade out for the Davis deal. Right. So, I mean, it's not like they are not getting a bat.
Right. I feel like Elvis Andrus and Davis are almost like a fair swap. They have strengths in different things, but the one thing Elvis Andrus will do is he'll get on base more often, a hell of a lot more often, because Chris Davis just swings for the moon. Now, conversely, I think it's a good trade for the Rangers to turn him into another trade later in the year, because the Rangers are going to be terrible. But Chris Davis is probably going to light up the sky in Texas, because the ball's going to fly out of there compared to Oakland. Justin, who do you see finishing 3rd in the AL West?
I've got the Angels there. I can't go anywhere past Ohtani. I don't feel that Dylan Bundy, Griffin Canning, or Alex Cobb are going to be the 3 names that just blow us away and win this division. We're not even sure what Ohtani's going to be. Is he a DH? Is he going to be a full-time pitcher? If they're smart, he's a pitcher, but we have no clue. There's no talent no doubting the talent in the lineup and the offensive firepower that the Angels have. The Angels' biggest problem is how are they going to eliminate everybody else from outscoring them?
That's why I'm going with the Angels in 3rd as well, because I like Oakland's starting rotation better, and they seem to find a way every year to score their runs. They seem to piece it together. So I've got faith in Billy Beane more than I have faith in the lineup that I'm looking at, but they still do. I mean, look, they've got Olsen, they've got Chapman, Andrews. We just talked about Laureano needs to take that next step. Piscotty's an interesting one. I don't really know what to expect from him, but you got Mitch Moreland as your DH, which he played really well for the Red Sox just a few years ago. So he's an interesting one. And then Tony Kemp at second base for Oakland. To me, I just think they're going to find a way to get the runs to put themselves into the second slot. So Sean, with that being said, who do you have in your second slot?
In my second slot, I have the Houston Astros, which gives away who I have winning the division.
So you think the Angels are going to win it all, huh?
I think they will be the best team in the division. I actually think this could possibly be, outside of the NL Central, maybe the worst division in baseball. Like I think this division can be won with 90 wins. And first 1 to 90 could win it. I am not a believer in the Astros this year. I think losing Springer is going to hurt their lineup more than anybody's counting on. Carlos Correa is in a contract year. Houston is completely whiffed on talks with him, so he could be traded at the midseason point or earlier, especially if they underperform. And that rotation is icky. Everybody's making a big deal out of them signing Odorizzi. I've watched Jake Odorizzi his whole career. This guy's not as good as everybody thinks he is. And he puts a lot of balls dead square in the middle of the plate. You start doing that at whatever they're calling Enron Field now, you are in for a long season. They were counting on Framber Valdez to secure the rotation. He might miss the whole year. When I hear elbow tightness and shut down until further notice, he might not be in the rotation this year. So you're counting on Greinke, Odorizzi, and Jose Urquidy. Sorry. I don't see how that's any better than what the
Lance
Angels
McCullers. I mean, Lance McCullers is a solid starting pitcher.
He is. I need to see him make more than 25 starts in a season. You know, his second year coming off of Tommy John to believe in it. I'm not buying the Astros this year. I'm really, really not. And, you know, we don't need to have the Dusty Baker conversation. I think as an X's and O's manager, he leaves a lot to be desired. But I've got the Angels in pole position just because I think they're going to score a ton of runs. And there's still lots of arms out there that they can add to the bullpen. Jeremy Jeffress, there are 5 or 7 other names I could give you of guys who have major league experience that if the guys are counting on in the bullpen to start the season don't work out, Artie Moreno doesn't have any trouble opening up the checkbook. But, I mean, good luck getting through the middle of that lineup.
The only rebuttal I'll say to that is you can't say you have questions about Houston's starting rotation when you look at the Angels rotation and it's hot garbage at best. I mean, we don't even know.
I think Haney, Bundy, and Ohtani are better than people are giving them credit for in practical.
I got to see that dude make more than 20 starts. Screw 25. He's got to make 20 starts.
Fair.
And so Griffin Canning and Jose Quintana is just he throws batting practice fastballs. And Dylan Bundy, I will not believe that he can go a full 35 without hitting. He normally hits a major skid somewhere. It's going to be really difficult for that pitching staff to try to keep teams under like 6 to 7 runs night in, night out. And that puts a lot of pressure on that offense. I think that offense can score and they should be fun. And I hope you're right because I am pulling for the Angels, but I've got to put the Astros as my division winner. Justin, what say you?
Yeah, I hope that y'all are both similarly right, just a little. I hope the Angels come in second, but I've got Astros grading out in second. I don't see it. I think the Springer loss. I think the setback in the rotation. I mean, they finished 7 games back of the Athletics last season. They did get the wild card and made a good postseason run, but I'm going to go with the Athletics back-to-back. They didn't make any big splashes. You need some – Luzardo's got to advance a little bit more, and you need Montes to be that lockdown ace. But aside from that, I really like that lineup, and I think they can wreak havoc in the West. I'm leaning with the Athletics to repeat again, and the cheating Houston Astros in second place.
And I'll double down and say, Sean, I think this is the worst division in baseball. I would take what you have in the National League Central over what you have in the AL West any day of the week, because at least there's some stuff to look on the high side. If the Cubs can play beyond expectations, if the the Reds could surprise, but I look at the AL West as a team full of pirates. It's like, God,
really? I don't disagree completely with you, but I'm going to put the AL Central as probably the worst.
No way.
Yeah.
No, dude.
Okay,
No,
your White Sox are going to be
Sox.
good, and aside from that, you're going to fall off. The Twins aren't going to duplicate this story they've had. The Tigers are still rebuilding. The Royals and Indians are in the same boat.
First of all, I think the Royals are going to surprise. The White Sox are going to be good.
Their surprise will be Angel-esque, is what I'm saying.
Twins are going to be very good. The Indians they'll be competitive.
They'll be fine.
I think some of their losses that they've traded away through 162 game season is going to hurt them. But I don't see how you can put the AL Central above the AL.
Just jot that down and we'll talk about it all year long.
We will.
I think the West will rank out higher than the AL Central.
All right. Well, I think the AL Central will get more W's, and you think the West will get more W's, and we'll just leave it at that. That's really the only way we can rank them. We can't get at the end of the season and give them style points.
Postseason burst.
What about that?
Wild cards.
What about that bat flip on May 3rd? That was pretty cool. Okay, well, we'll put a point there. Justin, what's your walk-off for the day, sir?
Houston's full of a bunch of cheating Astros. I'm still butthurt about it. And your Tigers have a cheating head skipper too, so that ought to knock them back down too. I bet you do think they're going to finish good in the Central. That's why the AL Central's so good.
Home Depot's been out of trash cans for 6 months
It's
ever
Menards
since we hired him.
there.
It's great. Can't wait.
Menards.
That's right, Menards. Yep, forgot about that. Showed you how long it's been since I lived in Michigan.
All right, brother. We'll see you tomorrow.
Y'all have a great day, and we'll see y'all tomorrow.
Okay. We'll be back in a flash here on the Armchair Quarterbacks. Keep it locked in here. CBS Sports Radio and YouTube Live.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks, CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good morning, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. We have a full slate of college basketball today as March Madness rolls on in conference tournament play. The ACC tournament continues at noon Eastern as NC State takes on Syracuse. At 2:30, Miami plays Clemson, and Louisville takes the court at 6:30, followed by the North Carolina Tar Heels at 9. All the games are on the ACC network. The SEC tournament gets underway 7 o'clock tonight on the SEC network. It's Texas A&M versus Vanderbilt. The Big East tournament gets going on FS1, 3 o'clock Eastern. Marquette versus Georgetown, followed by Butler and Xavier at 6 Eastern, and DePaul versus Providence at 9. The Big 12 tournament starts on ESPN at 6:30 Eastern. Kansas State versus TCU, and number 25, Oklahoma versus Iowa State. On the Big 10 network, you got the Big 10 Conference tipping off. Minnesota versus Northwestern, 6:30 Eastern. Nebraska and Penn State follow at 9. The Pac-12 tournament begins today on the Pac-12 network, and at 10 o'clock Eastern, Middle Tennessee State tries to begin a Cinderella story taking on North Texas. That game's on ESPN+. The NFL franchise tag deadline was yesterday, and the LA Chargers decided not to franchise Hunter Henry, while Allen Robinson of the Chicago Bears is staying put as he gets the tag put on him. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers put the franchise tag on Chris Godwin, and Kenny Golladay of the Detroit Lions was also left untagged to become a free agent. In a bit of a surprising move, the Jacksonville Jaguars franchise tagged left tackle Cam Robinson. That move is looked upon as somewhat controversial, paying a premium price for a tackle that is looked upon as middle of the pack. And in a study released yesterday, it looks like only 2 teams in Major League Baseball are likely to not have fans come opening day. That's the state of Washington's Seattle Mariners and Washington, D.C.'s Washington Nationals. All other teams have either announced that they will or most likely will have fans on opening day. Opening day in Major League Baseball is Thursday, April 1st. And a University of Texas committee formed in November to investigate the history of the Eyes of Texas song released a 58-page report Tuesday that says the school song was not written with racist intent, but acknowledges that its first public performance was likely performed in blackface during a minstrel show. From the report, quote, "These historical facts add complexity and richness to the story of a song that debuted in a racist setting, exceedingly common for the time, but as the research showed, had no racist intent. The Eyes of Texas should not only unite us, but hold us accountable to our institution's core values." The report recommended the students not be required to sing the song. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for more of the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show and YouTube Live. Please like, subscribe, and share our show today. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
I'm Amy Lawrence, and I'm up late, always, after hours, hanging out with you on CBS Sports Radio. Check it out, 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific.
It all starts with just one thing. Glass jars can be reused to store food and spices, as a holder for combs and brushes in the bathroom, or as a container for plants and homemade candles, in addition to simply being recycled. Find tips and more at onethingus.com.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Is that Shakespeare?
Nope, it's Geico.
Yeah, that's Shakespeare from one of his unpublished works. Oh, it be not for awakening. Nay, giveth thou the berries. For 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
No, it's from Geico, because they help save people money.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but Geico got it from Shakespeare.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Welcome to the jungle. Jim Rome on the air, noon to 3 Eastern. Only on CBS Sports Radio.
And we smoke, keeping high up off the ground. In a hate, in a crowd, we ain't ever coming down.
Wednesday morning. Good morning, y'all. CBS Sports Radio. You're riding shotgun with the Armchair Quarterbacks. We're here till the bottom of the hour. If you're listening to us on CBS Sports Radio, you'll probably pick up the DA show on the tail end of it. If you're on YouTube, then your screen will just go blank and you watch whatever the hell you want to watch. Sean, the franchise tags. First of all, Sean the Dude O'Toole, as he's been named. The franchise tags came out yesterday. Anything that jump out at you? Anything that surprised you?
There were a lot of surprises to me. Now, I had a few people text me, including some friends here in Nashville, who know that I'm a Lions fan, said, what are the Lions thinking not tagging Galladay or Okwara? They're thinking that they're starting over. I mean that's been the modus operandi this whole offseason.
And I don't think that's a terrible idea, because Galladay, okay, if you tag him, okay, yeah, that gives you an extra good wide receiver. First of all, the dude barely played last year. And
he wants 4 years, $80 million. And you're not going to give him that when you're rebuilding.
Right. Not. So what are you going to do? Tag him twice and hurt your bottom line? Now, I'm right with you. I say just do a complete rebuild. It would have been nice to trade him and get something for him, and maybe you could have franchise tagged him and done that. But you're expecting a lot, and to me, I'm with you. Get rid of the damn money, get it off the table, and start over from scratch.
So to contrast two teams doing the same thing but doing it very differently, the Lions chose not to tag Kenny Galladay, right? Which means he's a free agent. He's walking the street, and you're not going to get anything in return for him. Conversely, the Bears tag Allen Robinson, who has made it very clear he will not play on the tag. So he's going to play chicken with the Bears, and now the Bears have to trade him in an offseason where you've got a lot of front offices that are not willing to give up draft capital, because we know a new TV deal is coming in. We know the Sunday ticket's going to be sold to the highest bidder. That's coming, right? That's why Jerry Jones paid all the money.
Anywhere but a cable or satellite.
I think it's going to be Amazon. I mean, I think Bezos is coming off the top rope for like $800 gajillion.
I think it's going to be someone that I can buy it without having to buy your stupid service.
Yep.
Right.
That's my opinion. YouTube TV, Google has as much money as Amazon does, but it's going to be
them as well. But you know what?
I'm okay Google, Amazon.
I'm okay with that as well, because when it's a streaming service like that, Sean, let's say you don't love Google, YouTube TV. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Which I have it. I actually enjoy it. But let's say you don't, you only have to carry it for like 3 months.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
I would like, this is a sidebar, I would like YouTube TV a lot more if they would figure out their carrier dispute with Sinclair Broadcasting, because in Tennessee, I can't watch the Memphis Grizzlies, the Atlanta Hawks, the Atlanta Braves. Well, that's driving me crazy. I want to choke somebody over it.
I got the same damn issue in Florida. They don't have Fox Sports Florida or Fox Sun.
They don't have any RSNs. They just said
they've got
it's
some,
owned,
but they're
they've
really
got some, but
junky, and they try to charge you an extra payment to pick them up, and it's very, if you pay for that extra streaming service of it, it's very random what you're going to get on. They've got something called like a Fox Sports Net channel, but you don't know what the hell you're going to get. And in other words, to your point, if you're in Tennessee, you want the Fox Sports to be able to watch the local teams. Same thing here, and I'm not getting that. So look, it doesn't affect me in baseball because I'm going to go ahead and buy the Braves anyways, right? But to your point, if I'm sitting in Tennessee, I guess I just wouldn't have YouTube TV, because if I could get the Braves for free on another streaming device, that's what I would be doing.
Yeah, the problem is you have to know the sports blackout rules. Like the NBA's blackout rules are really just horribly antiquated. So in Nashville, you have to watch it locally, which means the Hawks and the Grizzlies are blacked out. So even though I pay the NBA for NBA TV, it's still blacked out. I can't watch them at all.
Right.
And YouTube TV doesn't cover them.
I've got
so I don't know what's going to happen with baseball.
I got the same issue with the Marlins and the Rays here. Most people might say, who gives a damn about the Marlins? But the Braves play them 19 times a year. And then the same thing with now, how I get around that is I just buy a VPN. And then sometimes I'm actually a part of a Facebook group that has the Braves. They stream it almost every single day. So remind me, Sean, and I will send you an invitation to that Braves page.
Please.
And someone always hooks up. I don't know what they're hooking up. It's either their YouTube account or something, but they hook it up. And a lot of times when they play a team like the Marlins, I just go ahead and I watch it on there as opposed to changing my VPN every day. So
gotcha. Back to the NFL salary cap thing. The other two I want to mention really quick that were surprising. One was built into the.
Now let's bitch your mode about cable TV for the next week.
We can do that. We can do that off the air. I was surprised, but not surprised that the Jaguars franchise Cam Robinson, he's graded out as a pretty below average pass blocking
and
left tackle.
It is not. I'll tell you this: it has not gone over well here. Now, I mentioned to a lot of people that the Jacksonville media is very soft,
right?
So they won't say what I'm thinking, which is it was a terrible move. They should have saved the money and tried to go all in on other offensive linemen that are going to be available out there, as opposed to just getting. I mean, you're going to go out and get Trevor Lawrence. You don't need a question mark guarding his blind side.
So let me posit this question to you, because there's two ways that could go. I understand why they did it. I disagree. I'm just like you. I think you can move up in the draft and get one of the elite tackles. There's 4 elite tackles that you can get in the first round of this draft, all the way from Penny Sewell to Christian Darrisaw, who are projected to go anywhere between 5 and 25. Also, Trent Silverback Williams, who's coming off an excellent year in San Francisco, had a no trade clause, can't be tagged, is just walking the street. You've got $72 million in cap space. You are about to draft a quarterback that, for Jaguars fans, they believe can change the entire course of their franchise. That's yet to be seen. So you definitely want to protect his blind side. I understand why they went with this move. If me personally, if I was Trent Baalke, I would have let Cam walk, or try to work out a long-term deal and move him to right tackle, where his pass blocking isn't as much of a problem. He is a very good run blocker. He grades out as a very good run blocker, but he was 58 out of 62 pass blockers last year in pass block win rate, which is not what you want on the left side. So I agree with you. I think you could pay Trent Williams.
Well, here's the other
one of the free agents.
What it's not just free agents, but when you talk about the draft for the Jacksonville Jaguars, we're talking about not only do they have the number 1 pick overall, they got the number 25 pick. Because remember, that comes from the Jalen Ramsey trade, and they have the 33rd and 46th pick in the second round. So they have the ability to move up if they wanted to. So I just think it's a real head scratcher. Look, Urban Meyer has had a lot of success in prior stops. This is his first time in the NFL, but maybe he sees something that we don't see. And so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt one time, but I really question this, because by the time you're a third, 4-year pro, you kind of are what you are.
Yeah.
And I would be shocked if all of a sudden Cam Robinson becomes a top 10 left tackle in the NFL, which is what you're paying for when you put a franchise tag on someone.
You absolutely
You're
are.
paying, top 5. You're paying top 5 because that's what they average it out to. When you sign for the tag, it's the top 5 at your position, what their average salary would be.
Correct. And if you do it a second time, it's 115%. It's that plus 15% of what you paid the previous year. So you kind of can't go back down that well another time. The only other one I want to mention that's really surprising, just because I find it amusing, was the Saints tagging Marcus Williams for $10.5 million. Marcus Williams is a good young player, 24 years old, coming off his best season as a pro. Unfortunately, if you Google him, it's going to pull up the Minneapolis Miracle right away. But he's moved past that. I just don't know where the Saints are getting money from. They're $62 million over the cap, and they just tagged the safety. So I just found that one amusing.
Well, I think
they
kind of
it seems like they give the Stone Cold Steve Austin to the cap every year and just figure it out. I just don't know how they do it.
Is it because they figure that Drew Brees is not coming back?
I guess, yeah. I mean, he quote unquote reworked his deal so that the money that he's owed this coming season, if he retires, I think just disappears from the cap altogether. They're going to roll into the season with, we're going to have some of that famous Jameis down in the bayou playing quarterback. And I it's weird. They're going to let Trey Hendrickson walk, who was, 3/4 of the way through the year, the sack king, of the National Football League, but they can't afford to pay him, and he's going to get money from somebody. So it's just really, really weird. This might be one of the strangest NFL off seasons in memory, just because of all the player movement. And I think there's going to be a lot of teams that are, there's going to be a lot of guys at the top end of free agency that aren't going to get as much money as they think they're going to get, or as many years. They're going to have to take 1-year prove-it deals until the league's TV deal kicks in for Sunday Ticket, and then we'll see what happens from there.
All right, so let's switch gears back into college basketball. We got a few minutes to talk about this. The ACC tournament gets underway again today. They're going to be starting at, I believe it's noon. Is it noon today? Yeah, noon Eastern. NC State, Syracuse. That's an interesting one because Syracuse and NC State are both on the bubble, both needing W's, along with Clemson, who's played poorly the last few weeks. They're going to need a big win against Miami. Miami's going to have to run the table to get into the tournament. And Duke, Louisville tonight at 6:30, and Notre Dame, North Carolina. If you look forward to tomorrow, the ACC tournament, the heavy hitters, Florida State, Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, and Virginia all get going. I don't even know if I want them to win it, because I'd kind of prefer them to have extra days off, to be honest with you.
But I know where you're going. I don't even have to ask.
But I do think Florida State's the best team in the ACC, even though they didn't win the conference. They played a terrible game on the road in Notre Dame. Just absolutely fell asleep at the wheel from the first jump. And so with that being said, I've got Florida State winning the ACC tournament. What say you?
Yeah, I've got Florida State winning it too. I think they're the best team in the division, in the conference. And if they put it all together, there really isn't anyone that can match up to them on a night in, night out basis. Now, I watched every dribble of that Notre Dame game, and I just couldn't believe what I was watching. I mean, they completely, like you said, asleep at the wheel. I mean, they were totally just snoozed out. I kind of want to watch and see what happens with Notre Dame today, because every year in one of the Power 4, Power 5 conferences, right? Big 12, ACC, SEC, Big 10, Big East, however you want to rank them, there's always a team that gets to the championship game or gets a lot further than anyone projects that they will. This happens every year. The one that always sticks out in my head, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, but it might be longer than that. There was a year that Georgia won the SEC tournament, and they were bad. They were like 13 and 17 in the regular season.
Keep an eye on this in the ACC tournament. I think Georgia Tech's going to knock out Virginia. Georgia Tech's got a good basketball team, and it's very underrated. And I think I think it could be Florida State, Georgia Tech final. It wouldn't surprise me about Virginia Tech, Florida State final, but I like Virginia, man. I'm telling you, the problem with Virginia is that they don't put teams away, so you let teams hang around, and that's very dangerous when it comes to tournament basketball.
That's how you end up in a UMCB situation like they were a couple years ago.
Exactly.
I want to see if Notre Dame takes, I don't think they're very good, quote unquote, but if they take the momentum from beating Florida State at home and they take the momentum from the walk-off last night, which was pretty incredible, and see if they parlay that into anything against North Carolina today. Because if they get by North Carolina, all of a sudden you're playing Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's had a really nice year. Kind of surprised a lot of people.
They play Florida State. Could be wrong.
The game 7 winner is in game 11, which is against Virginia Tech. Florida State plays the winner of Louisville and Duke, according to the bracket I'm looking
that's
at.
right.
So,
that's right. Yes. Okay.
Which, I mean, good night. I've seen Louisville and Duke this year, and I mean, unless Florida State pulls a Notre Dame again, neither of those teams are on their level.
FSU has Louisville's number, so I feel confident.
And I think Duke's drawn dead. I think Duke.
You never know with Coach K, so I wouldn't put anything past him. But
he might dress up Wojo, change his name to John Sanders.
What about the Big 12 tournament? Because this one intrigues me because I think this one is as wide open as it gets. They get underway today, but tomorrow is when the heavy hitters come in. You got Baylor, Kansas, Texas Tech, West Virginia, and Oklahoma State are all ranked in the top 20. Who do you like to win this conference? Win this tournament? Is it Baylor chalk, or are you smelling an upset? Because I'll tell you what, I do smell an upset, but I'll let you make your pick first.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Baylor just because I don't feel good enough about anybody else in the conference to really shock the world, quote unquote. There's some players to really watch in this conference, like some guys that are going to play in the NBA next year in the first 5 picks, notably Cade Cunningham at Oklahoma State. But those guys are always a little, they're always a little bit Russian roulette when it comes to conference tournaments and NCAA tournaments. Sometimes they, put their team on their back and rocket ship them, and it elevates their draft value. And sometimes they just kind of mail it in because they already know they're going to be a top 5 pick. So they don't try really hard because, you're always one airborne dunk landing away from tearing your ACL and, pulling a Blake Griffin. So I don't know what to think. I would like to see a little bit more out of Oklahoma State with the talent they have. I thought they'd be better this year, and it really hasn't materialized. I just think Baylor's better than everybody else in this conference.
So they get a tough draw on the first game that they'll play tomorrow, but I really like West Virginia, and I think West Virginia and Huggy Bear
fighting Huggins.
I think he. By the way, he got snubbed again, not voted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. He's got 900 wins.
Come on,
how many damn wins does he need to get in the Hall of Fame? But
he put Cincinnati on the map. Cincinnati athletics would be nothing without Bob
Huggins.
Huggins.
Wonder if it's got to do with the fact that there were some improprieties when he was at Cincinnati, and if that's why he's not getting voted in. But people are afraid they'll vote him in, and then he'll really get busted doing something dirty in West Virginia. But 900 wins. I mean, what the hell does this guy got to do to get into the Basketball Hall of Fame? I do think he'll get in eventually. It might have to do with the fact that, he's still coaching. Maybe after he retires, they'll put him in. But if you're gonna have Michael Cooper on the final ballot, Bob Huggins deserves to be there. Michael Cooper was a very good NBA player. Bob Huggins is an all-timer as a college basketball coach. I've always said that the Basketball Hall of Fame was the lamest of them all. If I'm ranking them, it's baseball, football, and just below that would be hockey. I think it's like that. And then basketball's.
He's 13th all time. He's 13th all time in wins. I just looked it up because I wanted to see where he stood. He's above Dean Smith. He's above. Now I know, times are different. There's more games played now, but he's won more games than Dean Smith, Adolph Rupp, Eddie Sutton, Rolly Massimino, Rick Byrd. I mean, there's a bunch of names on this list. Lute Olson, Lou Henson. Like, come on, what do we got to do to get this guy into the Hall of Fame?
Exactly.
Give me a break.
I mean, yeah. So that's my underdog pick for the
That's a good one. Good one.
For the Big 12. Now, with that being said, they got to play Oklahoma State first round tomorrow, so they'll probably get their ass kicked, and I'll look like a fool. But I don't believe in Kansas this year. As much as Kansas likes to choke anyways, this isn't one of the better Kansas teams. And Texas Tech and Texas and Oklahoma State, they just don't seem like the type of teams that can put it together in a run. So
yeah.
That's what I'm going with on that. Are you smelling any other big upsets in the conference tournaments before we have to run?
The only one that we didn't get a chance to talk about earlier that I would like to quickly mention, I'm really going to keep an eye on that Tennessee-Florida game because those are two teams that I think want to have some momentum going into the tournament. And I like Alabama. Alabama's had an awesome year. Good job for Nate Oates. You know, if it wasn't for what Juwan Howard did at Michigan out of nowhere, I think he'd probably be coach of the year. As it was, it looks like Juwan's going to win it. But I've seen Alabama have some close calls against teams that really aren't on their level. And I just want to see this team live up to their potential. Tennessee's got a veteran coach in Rick Barnes. Florida's been all over the place. I mean, you know, all you have to do is follow Tony Agolini on social media to see his opinion of this team. They've been, you know, they played up here and they played down here, and there hasn't been a lot of in between. That's a game I'm looking at because if either one of those teams knocks off Alabama, they could run through. I kind of agree with you that I think it's going to be Arkansas, and I don't know how much of an upset that is to anybody. But I also don't know that Arkansas is outside of people like us who watch a lot of sports or SEC heads. I don't think Arkansas is a household name this year in college basketball, and I think they're going to surprise a lot of people.
They were definitely a surprise
when they get into the tournament and just wreck folks for a few rounds, which I think is likely.
Preseason rankings, they were definitely a big upset. No one had Arkansas. I mean, for Christ's sake, they're number 8 in the country at this point. I think LSU is a big time paper tiger. They're fake. Yes, I think they may not even make it to the Arkansas game. And if Tennessee does play Florida, that should be a lot of fun. I think Tennessee will take them out. And then
they just had a real fun, like real chippy game last Sunday for that spot. So, hats off to Florida I think Florida won it. Maybe it was Tennessee. I don't remember.
Yeah.
It was
Tennessee ran them out of the building.
Yeah, I watched the first half of that game. Was chippy. There was a lot of yakking back and forth, and those teams, obviously don't like each other very much. That would be one that I'd keep an eye on. I already gave my thoughts about the Big Ten. I think if it's not Illinois, it's going to be Iowa. And I actually think that Illinois-Iowa game on Saturday is probably for the Big Ten championship. Just where I'm coming out on it.
Yeah, I think if there's upset city in the Power Fives, and I don't count the Pac-12 realistically because who gives a damn about them? I think you're going to get damn near chalk in the Big Ten, and I think you're going to get damn near chalk in the Big East. But I think you have an opportunity for big-time upsets in the SEC and ACC. It's time to turn back time, and then we'll do our walk-offs. All right. On this date in 1963, 2 great feats happened on the same damn day. Wilt Chamberlain scores 70 points for the San Francisco Warriors, later to be called the Golden State Warriors, against Syracuse. Yes, Syracuse used to have an NBA team. So he scored 70 points on the same day that someone by the name of Pete Rose debuts in spring trainings and gets 2 hits in his first 2 at-bats. And he went on to do some pretty good things. Also went on to do some pretty bad things. But that's this date in sports and turn back time and birthdays.
It's your birthday today.
Happy 60th birthday to Bobby Petrino. Oh, what could have been for this guy? Bobby Petrino, 60 years old. We all know his checkered past. Still think he's got a chance to get one more run in him at a major Power 5 to kind of put a cap on his career. And happy 56th birthday to a guy at one point. I remember they used to actually argue if he was better than Deion Sanders, Mr. Rod Woodson. Now that's no longer been, that's a laughable joke now. But at the time of the height of his career, people used to compare Rod Woodson and Deion Sanders, did they not?
I believe they did.
And I think there was one more. Yeah. Happy 49th birthday to Matt Kenseth. NASCAR driver. It's hard to believe
that makes me feel old.
Yeah, man. 49. What makes me even feel older is that I ain't too far away from that son of a gun. People like Matt Kenseth, please hang on for as long as you can, because if you pass, I'm going to start freaking the hell out. What is your walk-off for the day?
My walk-off is going to be a lot happier than last week. I want to say congratulations to somebody you wouldn't think I would say congratulations to, because I am not a fan of this guy. I do not watch his show every day. But I'm not going there. It did not escape my notice this week that Fox gave Skip Bayless $32 million contract. I remember reading this guy when he was writing for the Dallas Morning News in the early days of the internet, when he used to call himself the Cobra. Then he showed up on, ESPN's battery of programs in the early days of Around the Horn and PTI, went on to do First Take with Stephen A. You know what? I'm always happy for somebody when they cash in, when they bet on themselves and do well. I don't think that Fox is going to see a return on that investment, but hey, $32 million for Skip Bayless. Hey man, my hat's off to you. I mean, if you bet on yourself like that, leaving the worldwide leader and cash out in that manner, congrats to you. Everybody should aspire to something like that, to bet on yourself and win big, even if it is, suckers money, but hey, whatever. Congratulations to him. That's a lot of dough.
I need to read you a text that I got the day that was signed. Where is it at? Here we go.
Who's it from? Trosh?
No, this is from a listener of the show. Skip Bayless just got $8 million to talk bleep about LeBron.
That's about it, man.
That's essentially all he does. And I don't know a single person who watches that damn show. I'm a little surprised that he got that at there. Now I do know that ESPN tried to bring him and Stephen A back together.
Yeah.
And they tried to get him, and I don't know if it was a money issue or if he just doesn't want to. Skip Bayless may have seen the light and just doesn't want to work for ESPN, right? It may not have anything to do with, I don't think him and Steven have bad blood, but maybe they do.
No.
But I think
by all accounts, he was just, he doesn't like the, ESPN's a publicly traded company. It's part of the Disney empire. There's a lot of constraints, right? You've seen a lot of people leave there because,
they're also woke as hell in.
Exactly. That's my
Bayless
point.
Probably wants a little more.
You can't say anything without running afoul of this mob or that mob when you have that many eyeballs on
and then also worrying about will your contract get nulled because you say the wrong thing because one person has an issue with it. So yeah,
exactly. I've never watched it. I find Shannon actually pretty entertaining on social media, which is where I follow him. Because he's just loud and
I like Shannon Sharp to a degree. But he is not a good speaker. So to listen to him for 2 to 3 hours, however long that damn show is on, it's brutal. And so I might flip over there every great once in a while. If there's something that's trending that I think they might have a good take, but I usually forget about the show, to be honest with you, I might flip over there. But typically I don't, because it's so brutal to listen to him speak. Now, I'm not going to lie. If FS1 were to find a way to get Stephen A over onto their show and unite those two together, I would watch it wherever the hell it was. But Stephen A just signed his deal 6 months ago, so that's not going to happen anytime soon. So
yeah, they're putting the rocket ship on his back. I mean, he's got all kinds. He's got new content. He's got an ESPN Plus show that they're doing with him. He is nominally almost the face of ESPN at this point, even more than Scott Van Pelt. So or some established guys.
And that ESPN Plus show they put together for him is terrible.
It's not good so far. I like the Peyton Manning one. I've watched the Peyton Manning one. That's funny. They should do more of that stuff, but I just don't think
I mean,
they have enough people.
The whole shtick with the young little kid trying to act like Stephen A. They're calling him Little Stephen A. or Stephen A.
Yeah.
That is just terrible. It's as bad as their fantasy football show. I mean, it's just it's hokey and stupid. It's as
Hey, the
dumb
best
as,
fantasy football show is ours, and it's getting closer by the day.
I don't know what's cornier, that or Soul of a Nation. Have you seen? So this is my walk off today. Have you seen
Lord.
this
Here we go.
garbage that happened?
No, I haven't.
So they're doing like a woke version of 2020 would be the best way for me to describe Soul of a Nation.
Yeah, I know what it is. Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't seen it, but I've seen it advertised, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
There's a clip out there where they're interviewing some little kid. She's, I mean, I don't know, somewhere between 12 and 14 years old.
Okay.
And she is hurt and genuinely offended that she's not getting credit for some stupid ass TikTok dance that she did that I guess trended.
I hate it already.
And she's acting like she has actual mental property off of this, right? How many people have invented? I don't know who the hell invented the Macarena, right? I don't know who the hell invented the cowboy cha-cha, right? Nobody knows who invents any damn dance, but because she got some TikTok dance to trend that, like, I do know they mentioned A-Rod did it and a couple of other famous celebrities, that she wishes that she got more publicity for it. They just put you on an ABC national television show. I think that's enough damn. I mean, come on. What else do you need? A holiday named in your name? You came up with a freaking stupid dance on TikTok?
And that's a generational conversation we don't really need to have right now. But yeah, I'm with you, man. It's rough stuff.
Yeah, it's just pathetic as hell. That'll do it for us. We will see you tomorrow. Sean, great job, and we'll see you next week, sir.
See you, everybody. Enjoy the hoops.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on these CBS Sports affiliates and catching the show on YouTube Live. We're here weekdays, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Find Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live today. Please subscribe and share and take us everywhere you go. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for Southern sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Can I get another cigarette, please? Can I get another cigarette, please? Yeah, I know I live